Um, Hello there, Yuzu Melodious. You said you were hyped for the anniversary of Star. That's amazing. You want to tell, what's your favorite, you want to talk about some of your favorite episodes and characters? Are we ready to start in just a second? Star. Butterfly emoji. Where are you? Whoa, why did I just. There's nothing like using Instagram on an iPad. All right, so I think I'll get started. Since Yuzu is already here. So, hey everybody, Bloodmoon Bobby here. Oh God, I could hear birds passing by. I wonder if you heard them honking, but I'll wait for them to pass. So, what's up, everybody? Bloodmoon Bobby here in full costume. Speaking of the name, here to celebrate the anniversary of Star vs. the Forces of Evil. It's kind of mind blowing to me that the show is has turned 6 years old today. It does still kind of feel like yesterday when I was first introduced to the series. So I wanted to use this day more so to use it as a sort of like discussion, maybe a bit of Q&A, talk with you guys about like our thoughts on the Star versus the Forces of Evil series, as well as talking about some of my favorite episodes. Maybe I'll get into some of the criticisms that I do have, as well as talking about my experiences of meeting some of the fans, and also getting to meet members of the crew because I mean, not that I want to brag about it, but I figured that this would be actually a good opportunity to at least talk about it. Me, at least meeting some of the these experiences of meeting with the crew, because I think I may have like mentioned it before in some past videos, but not in the actual interviews themselves, which you could check out our interviews that we've had with people like Star creator Darren Fc. We've also interviewed Eden Shear, who played Star herself, and we've also talked to Adam MacArthur before. I mean, yeah, I believe interviewed him once. I met him a couple times before, but we do have the interview of when he visited one of the Long Beach comic conventions. So as we go along, feel free to leave your thoughts on the show, in the live chat. This is meant to be more of a back and forth experience, and well, I was just reminded that I have to post a link to my Discord, because I do want everybody to come on down to this chat, because I really do enjoy. I'm really glad that I was able to develop the following that I have through interacting with the Star fandom. Because at the time when I started watching the show, I basically just saw it as, oh my god, this is my new like favorite show. At the time, I never could have expected that it would have led to this kind of a following. And I'm really appreciative of the Star fan base for being a big part of my channel. Hello again, Yuzu Melodious. I'll get back to you in a second. I'm just about to post discussion. Just moving some things out of the way. So you want to get my the latest developments or latest news about videos I'm making, or recent thoughts on the gaming, animation, and film industries, be sure to follow me on social media. I would really like to get into using Discord more for forming the discussions where we could have them when I don't have time to live stream, or if I'm busy working on videos. So, Yuzu, what did you say? Favorite character, top of my head, I can think of is Eclipsa. She had put on a welcoming presence in the show. Favorite episode includes Storm the Castle, Blood Moon Ball, Frenemies, and Cornball. And yeah, I really like those episodes as well. I'll talk about my thoughts on Eclipsa, because I have like a very interesting sort of thought process on Eclipsa. When she was first introduced, I was actually convinced that she was going to be like one of the big villains in Star. Like, I thought she was going to be going toe to toe with Star, like in the same way we saw with like Ludo and Mina. And interestingly enough, Eclipse's own daughter, Meteora. And then, as my friend Gabby would say, it turns out that Eclipse is basically just this really sweet character who really, really loves chocolate and is really helpful to Star Marco. Actually, one of the nicer, more sympathetic characters on Star versus the Forces of Evil, I would say. So, really welcome addition. I'd really like to meet the person that plays Eclipse, Esme Bianco, one of these days. And so yeah, definitely like Eclipse. Something I wanted to show Yuzu is one of the Star fan arts that I did in collaboration with my sister. Is I've done a bunch of shipping flags, and I did one for Eclipsa and Globgore. I could show you in a second if I could just find it. I'm still not really used to the latest version of iOS's photo UI. Really wish there would be an alphabetical order. I see. CFOE, where is... Maybe if I try searching for it. Can't see it. Shoot. Let me see if I could find it on my iPhone. Oh, by the way, if you're cosplaying as Blood Moon Marco, Touch ID doesn't work with the mask on. It's the same thing if you go outside and you wear like the mask to protect yourself from coronavirus. Keeps you safe, but your iPhone won't recognize you. But I'll get the shipping flag out. Where's the... I'm trying to find the one I made for what the shippers call Globclipsa. Yeah, no, I can't really load it up now. My phone's having internet issues, so sorry about that. If I can put it up, I'll try to do that before the end of the stream. But yeah, Storm the Castle, Blood Moon Ball, Frenemies, and Cornball. I do really like Frenemies and Cornball. Interestingly, for Blood Moon Ball, when looking at the from a Starco perspective, I don't know, Yuzu, do you ship Starco? Not that it matters much. This is just like from my perspective as somebody who was really into Starco. It actually took me a few viewings to realize like just how big the Blood Moon curse was at the time. Like I saw that Star Marco danced, but when I saw after a couple of viewings, when I saw that scene at the end of the episode where the blood moon is shining over Marco's house and it's pointed at Star Marco's tower, I was like, oh, it looks like the curse work Star Marco are really like together, and I took it in like a sort of romantic way. I thought, oh, is this an indication that the two will become a romantic couple by the end of the series? So, yeah, that would say that was when I really started shipping Starco. I mean, I remember when I first saw the Star intro, and I saw that Star Marco were best buddies. I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna be best friends in this show. I thought that was really cool, but at the time, I kind of held back on saying, wait a minute, before you push the shipping button. Let's see how it goes. And speaking of my first experience watching Star, yeah, okay, Yuzu, I found the Globclipsa flag. This is it. If you could see right here, this blue and purple flag that I developed. It was actually when I designed these flags with my sister. I was actually inspired by especially the flags of the Canadian provinces at the time. So I took some inspiration for this flag. I think it was from the francophone flag of Alberta. Like it's the flag of the French-speaking community in the province of Alberta, and that's where I got the inspiration to do the diagonal. So yeah. Yeah, I do also really like the episode where we see Eclipse and Globgor go on that sort of date together. I don't remember the name of it, but I thought that was really something special. It was the one that came right before the coronation episode. Storm the Castle, also one of my favorite episodes of season 1, and probably the first time that I was like, oh my god, this show can have its like really serious, really like kind of heart-wrenching moments. And and just how it's funny how prior to Storm the Castle, Star kind of worked in a very sort of easygoing way for the most part. Like, yeah, Star Marco definitely had their adventures and things like Pixtopia and Blood Moon Ball and the St. O's episode, but that was like the first time where I legitimately felt concerned for both Star and Marco, especially seeing, Marco nearly get crushed by Toffee's box, or seeing, like, Star destroy the wand. I'm just like, and hearing her say the whispering spell, it's so creepy, and I'm just like, oh my god. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, I do really like the episode because it's filled with twists, and it was the first time where we saw both Star and Marco put in really imminent danger and have these stakes be really raised. I remember a friend of mine actually saying the last few episodes of season 1 is when things get really serious. I would say maybe Storm of the Castle and sort of the ending of Marco Grows a Beard is when the show really, really gets serious for me. And it would also kind of start me on a journey where I had to, like, stop myself from taking shows, like, overly seriously and that sort of thing. So what I often do nowadays to get more enthusiastic about watching a lot of shows now is sometimes I'll listen to, like, a crazy car commercial from, like, the late 20th century to really get me pumped. Like, I'll go research, like, a Pontiac ad or one of those old Mazda commercials with the zoom 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 in order to, like, as a reminder of stuff, hey, take it seriously. It's kind of like, getting behind the wheel of, like, your dream sports car. It's not life or death. It's meant to be fun. And yeah, that's what's been helping me get through. That's what helped me get through Owl House, and I hope it can help me get through other shows. Like, I really want to check out that show Hilda on Netflix at some point. That's probably going to be the next show I review because I know they just came out with the second season. But yeah, Storm the Castle was, I would say, was probably the biggest turning point in the first season of Star, and it remains one of my favorite episodes. Blood Moon Ball also is one of my favorites. I mean, could probably tell I'm I named my channel after the Blood Moon Ball, and I do have a Starco flag here. This is the one that me and my sis designed a while back. I took a lot of inspiration from flags of places like Canada, Austria, Switzerland, and Japan, mainly because I like the use of the red and white color palette. Because, like, in this case, you could say that, like, red symbolizes Star Marco's love and also the passion and, I guess you could say the passion, if you will, and also the white to represent peace among the different ships. I mean, yeah, I sometimes joke that, like, I really hate Tom Star and that sort of thing, but it's like, I don't mean that, like, seriously. Like, I have a cousin who really likes Tom Star, so it's like the kind of thing where it's like it's a balance of the enthusiasm for the ship, but at the same time respecting, others who support other ships and that sort of thing. It's kind of funny though. I actually came up with this weird shipping alliance in my mind of what if there was a shipping alliance that was called the Katang Starco Lumidi alliance, because I also follow the auto industry, and in the auto industry there is a group called the Renault Nissan Mitsubishi Alliance. It's not a merger, but it's like the three companies are partnered together. So I was like, oh, what if that happened in the shipping world? But there I go again, and being a car nerd. Stellantis just started today. Well, oh, right. I'm doing a Star stream. Starcologist, hello. Oh, how are you? Would you want to say, if there was a Star season 5 or a movie, what would you like to see? I think between the two, the more realistic option is probably going to be a Star movie, per se, kind of like what Phineas and Ferb just had. They had that movie, I think it was called Candace Against the Universe, and I reviewed that with Gabby. Because I think that's a more tangible example where Disney brought back a show from years ago for a movie and put it on their new streaming service, Disney Plus. So I think that's the realistic route that I could see. I would like to see a season 5. Actually, wait, season 5 I think would be nice, but I think Another option I could see maybe down the road is a suggestion my coworker had at a company I used to work at, and he was like, "Why don't they ever make a TV series that stars Meteora and Mariposa?" And I was like, "Yeah, that could be a really cool idea." And I think that would be legitimate fuel. It's kind of like what the Instagram artist, I think the name is Mooring Mark, and I saw the comics that take place years later where Star Marker are adults and we see teenage Meteora and Mariposa going on adventures. And I would say at times I found them just as thrilling as the show itself. Mooring Mark is a real genius when it comes to mixing the dramatic elements and the comedic elements of Star as I hit my microphone. So I think those are like I think the more realistic options would be either a sequel series with Meteor and Mariposa, or if they do like some sort of movie. Yuzu, would you say, anyways, I can relate to your point of view of Stormwalker together. I didn't ship the two at first sight. I just value their friendship. And I wanted to see them get through whatever craziness the world threw at them. And yeah, I could respect that too. Because, yeah, I do think that Star Marco had a legitimately good friendship. And, it was, really crazy getting to see the ups and downs they went through and the times where they nearly, broke apart and it felt like they never see each other again. But, yeah, they definitely made a really good team, I would say. Yuzu, since you mentioned Blood Moon Ball, what did you think of Curse the Blood Moon? First of all, I'll get to J Shell's question. What is your favorite Star season episode and why? Oh my god, the season one it's really hard for me to choose. I would say in general, my favorite season ranges are 2, 3, and 4. It's to narrow it down, it's really hard for me to choose between 3 and 4 because 3 I thought had some of the best moments in the series, but I thought the fourth season was more consistent until the ending. And hey, if you really like the ending yourself, that's really, really cool. But yeah, it's really hard for me to pick, do I prefer 3 and 4 because I think there's still some really strong elements in 3. Like, I remember in Season 3, Battle for Muni, when Star changed into Butterfly mode Star. That was breathtaking, like, especially coming out of such a really, like, sad moment where it seemed like Star was never coming back from, like, the ruins of Toffee, and what turned out to be the magic dimension, and it even got like funereal at times. I knew that I didn't think that they were gonna kill Star off, but I was in that sort of panic mode of, oh my god, what's gonna happen, and that sort of thing. So it's like, yeah, it's really hard for me to choose. But I will say, that my favorite episode would have to be Toffee because it had such, amazing twists, and I really liked the story. I think that was the one time where the fear of Star being in danger was like, it really like hit such a level where I'm like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? And I certainly didn't expect Butterfly mode Star to happen. But like, I thought, like, okay, we saw Muberty Star in the past, but I thought it was going to be like a thing where like it would be like a gradual transformation. So, but to see that was her turn into Butterfly mode Star and defeat Toffee in the way she did, I thought was really epic. Were you disappointed with the season 4 finale? I hate to say it, but yeah, I wasn't really too thrilled with the finale. I wouldn't like go as far as to say it's like the worst episode or anything like that. I mean, I think there's like other Star episodes that I was even less enthusiastic about. I just felt it was kind of rushed, and I will say over time I have warmed up to this conclusion. I think what I would have preferred what they would have done in season 4 is I would have liked it better if it was revealed that like the Magic High Commission were like the legit villains. Like, yes, they're, yeah, we obviously know, they're basically like, the sort of puppeteers, but I kind of would have liked it better if they were like made more the explicit villains per se, because in that kind of case, like, I could understand the destruction of magic more, because basically without the Magic High Commission there can't be magic. And I also kind of wished it would have been more of like a bittersweet send off rather than Star just kind of being like, I know she had like her like moment of like being like, I'm gonna have to destroy the magic, but I felt that if there was a way to restore magic, I was thinking maybe Star could be like the person who sends out a new beginning where she uses magic more so to help people rather than to hurt and control people the way characters like I have trouble pronouncing her name, Solaria or Solaria have. So I wouldn't say it's the worst, but yeah, I'm not exactly. The one thing I will say about the finale that I do really like is that the one thing that I do really respect about the finale is that now that Star is free, she no longer can do magic and no longer has the hearts on her cheeks. I do like how the finale is very. I think it could be like the ending could be interpreted in different ways. I know some people didn't like how it ended with the hey, hi scene. But what I like about that is it lets the audience interpret, what do you think Star and Marco are going to do next? Are they going to get ice cream? Are they going to go and reunite with their friends? And that sort of thing. So I will say I do respect where it's coming from. I just wished it was written out better. And yeah. Did you like... Okay, so J Shell, but if you like the finale, anybody who's here, if you like the finale, that's great, that's great. J Shell, what'd you say? Did you like the Eclipse arc of the show, or you think it would be better if she turned out to be a villain? Oh, no, I actually really liked... I was legitimately surprised about how they were able to make Eclipse into a supporting like character who teams up with Star Marco. No, I'm fine with the fact they didn't just turn her into a straight up villain. If anything, that would have kind of made things a little too predictable. And she's also a very likable character, and I did want to see her get her family back. And yeah, so yeah, I do like the Eclipse arc of the show. Esme Bianco did a really good job acting as Eclipse and doing the singing scenes. So, yeah, so the Eclipse arc is something that I do enjoy. Yuzu, would you say? My thoughts regarding Curse of the Blood Moon has changed a number of times. When I first heard of the conclusion to that episode, I was mostly fine with it. Okay. I'll let you go on before I get into my thoughts on Curse of the Blood Moon. And I noticed you said nice on that flag, so yeah, so thank you. And let's keep the party going. If you have any more, everybody who's checking out the stream right now, let me know your thoughts on Star. I really want to get this discussion going, and I didn't want this to be just a stream about myself talking about my thoughts on Star or the helicopter. Okay, so the helicopter has passed. What I will talk about for now is I'll talk about like how I was introduced to Star, especially for maybe those who are checking out the channel for the first time or are new subscribers. I wasn't introduced to Star right when the show first came out. I was actually introduced to it about a year after it was released, like right before season 2 was coming out. I was at my friend's house one day and we were trying to figure out what we were going to watch. I think we were watching like Quentin Tarantino movies or something like that, but we were like, what can we watch next? And my friend Steven, who you've seen several times on this channel, shout out to Steven, was like, hey, let's show Bobby Star versus the Forces of Evil. And I was very loosely familiar with the show before I checked it out. I think I heard it in passing in a conversation, but it was the kind of thing where I was like, who and the what? Like, I've never heard of this show. And they introduced it to me, and I watched the very first episode, Star Comes to Earth, and I was able to get into it. I liked the dynamic between Star and Marco. I really liked how they made Star into this like character who's like really like this kind of hyper character, but still like you could have like like fun like getting invested in her character and seeing her kick butt with monsters. And I really like how off the bat Marco kind of comes off as this insecure, identifiable person. So I just remember jumping up saying, where has this show been all my life? And I really enjoyed it, and I just wanted to keep watching. It was there when I first saw that episode that I realized that this was going to be like another Avatar, The Last Airbender for me, in the sense, like, not in terms of like, my show preference, but just in terms of like how invested I got into a show. Because the last time I was super, super invested into a show and really like enjoying it and really wanted to see the new episodes and getting really enthusiastic was Avatar. And I did like, cartoons like in between in Avatar and Star. Like I was into Total Drama Island, and a Cartoon Network show that I really liked around that time was Regular Show. But Star was the one where I was like, that really got me into watching the more modern cartoons of the 2010s per se. So, to use a car analogy, I guess you could say, while Regular Show was the key that you turned to start the car, Star was like when you put your foot on the accelerator and go at like, I don't know, 100 miles per hour, to use a very cruddy analogy. And so, but yeah, I was really invested in it. I got through the first season, and the making behind this costume was, I remember being unsure if this costume could be made because I couldn't find it at a store. And I think I saw like a picture of somebody cosplaying as Blood Moon Marco, but I wasn't sure if I could find somebody to make the costume. And my sister wanted to give it a try. I think this is actually the first time she made a cosplay. And basically what she did, she took like a suit that I had to make this into what it is now. And she also took apart this hat to make this sombrero and made this mask out of paper mache and took it to Anime Expo. I wasn't really sure if people would like the costume. I remember being so nervous that I had like earbuds in my ears in case people hated it. But no, people really enjoyed the costume. I still have the pictures of the people that wanted to come up. I would say Anime Expo is a really great place to meet Star fans. And it's kind of what gave me the confidence. It's a big part of what gave me the confidence to turn the YouTube channel that I had, Kumite World, into Blood Moon Bobby. There was many factors. Like I was getting into watching like tech channels like Tweeterman287 and Review Tech USA and thinking maybe I could adopt a similar like format and style and just transform my YouTube channel and talk about the interest that I'm into at the time. And it's changed over the years. It started off with animation, film, and tech, and now it's animation, film, and gaming because I can't get my hands on like the newest smartphones as much and that sort of thing. But yeah, that was basically how this YouTube channel started. And in terms of meeting the crew, like Darren FC and Adam MacArthur, I heard that they were going to be at this, making an appearance at this place in Alhambra, which is near Los Angeles if you don't live in SoCal, at this place called the Gallery Nucleus, which is like this kind of mini art gallery. It's a nice place to go. There's a good ramen shop around there. And, I was just hearing, oh, it's going to be taking place in Alhambra, and I wanted to go there, especially since my mom used to live in that area, and I was like, okay, so she's familiar with it. And so remember, I think the first time I went to a Star event, it was with me and my sister, and I got to meet both Darren FC and Adam McCarver. And I remember just like my heart like pumping at the time and just be like, oh my god, because I've had my like chances to meet like people who've been on TV and stuff in the past, but it's like it wasn't, it was like once in a blue moon. So of course I was really happy. I remember being like so nervous to meet both Darren and Adam. I wasn't really sure what I could really ask them. I remember just kind of, I didn't interview Darren at the time, but I remember just telling her about like a fan story I was trying to write at the time and how my friend showed me season two, the episodes of season two while I was waiting to get my Nintendo Switch at the midnight launch and that sort of thing. So, but I'm really glad that I got to meet Adam and Darren that day, and I would get to meet them a couple more times. Funny enough, the one of the times that I did get to interview Darren, um, it was another Star event. It was for, I think it was for the Magic Book of Spells, and I remember just asking as I was getting her autograph, hey, could we do this interview after you're done with the signing autographs? And she was like, oh, do you also want to get one of the people who worked on the book? And Dominic, I forget how to say his last name. Dominic Bisignano, I think how you say it. And I was like surprised. Like she was like, oh wow, she was able to like get them over to do this interview. And yeah, so I was just really blown away that she agreed to do that. So I'm really thankful that Darren, Adam, Dominic, Amber Benson, and eventually Eden Shearwood agreed to do interviews. I've just had a really good time getting to meet the crew. I think it's like the first time that I was able to do that with a show that I followed. The only other time me and my friends got to do that was with Invader Zim when we met some of the voice talent people like Ricky Simons and Melissa Fawn. So Yuzu, you're back. What'd you say? Then upon further evaluation with Crystal Blood Moon, I ended up having an issue. I thought Star Marco didn't evaluate enough about their friendship or even how their characters shape up to be. I think at the time the way I took it, it was that they were both still really like nervous about admitting their feelings to each other at the time, and that's why they were willing to like go through with like quote unquote destroying the Blood Moon curse, which it did, but it ended up not destroying the feelings they had for each other. And I just remember, well, actually, like before, like I get into like my thoughts on the episode, but that was basically how I interpreted it. Is that basically they were still going through that really crazy time. So I think they were thinking was they wanted to like find a way to get out of those really intense feelings of ooh, do I tell like Marco, or ooh, do I tell Star? But at the time they were still like kind of too scared to like come forward with like their feelings. It wouldn't be until close to the finale in the Here to Help episode where they finally admit their feelings. Well, Marco did first in a prior episode, but then of course they got together with the kiss, and Star would say Marco, I want you to love me because I love you, and that sort of thing. So Yuzu, do you maybe want to, can you clarify a bit what you mean when you say they didn't evaluate enough of, in regards to their friendship? Yeah, because I'm trying to sort of like gain an understanding myself. Yeah. So, anybody else has thoughts to share? You said, "Woo, this may take a whole essay, but I agree with your take." you think maybe you want to like sort of like try to sort of like simplify what you wanted to say? But yeah, that was basically how I interpreted Curse of the Blood Moon. Funny enough, I remember when I saw the trailer basically confirming that yes, season 4 is going to be the final season of Star, and I saw that little clip of Star Marco dancing. I think I actually screamed when I saw that because I was just like, "Whoa, they're going back to the Blood Moon Ball. What's going on here?" Are they? It's funny when I first saw that clip, I was like, "What is this? Are they like recreating the Blood Moon Ball?" And then in the actual episode, it's like, no, they basically get thrown back into the memory. Cool thing about that episode though is they extend the Blood Moon dance in that it doesn't just end at the part where like Tom shoves like Marco and that kind of thing. They go on until the curse is about to end, and then Star asks the question, what if it was never the Blood Moon, which turns out it wasn't. It was never the Blood Moon. The way I basically took it is they were basically freed from that curse where it's like, you're bounded to be like stuck together. Whereas when the curse was broken, they were allowed to be, free to be in a romantic relationship just without having to be tied up by that really creepy curse. Yeah, so for anybody else that's coming by, let me know your thoughts on Star vs. Force of Evil, your favorite episodes, favorite story arcs, favorite season, favorite characters. If you want to talk about chances that you would like to meet the crew and that sort of thing. Um, uh, Hello. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Is it Cyber Chimera? Kyber Chimera? Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. You could correct me in the chat. I like the idea of the moon curse more of as a destiny. I actually like kind of took it that way. It's almost like it's kind of funny in the sense that in order for as part of the blood moon curse, like I like to take it as like as part of the blood moon curse becoming true, the curse itself had to be broken, but the curse still foretold that Star Marco would get together in some sort of relationship. Although it is really sad for me to think about the possibility that maybe Star and Marco can no longer remember the Blood Moon Dance, and maybe Star can only remember the Silver Bell Ball. I can't do a... Wait, can I do a raspberry? Can I do a raspberry in the stream? That sounded like I was taking a dump, but yeah. What was your reaction about the unexpected Starco scenes, the kisses and booth buddies, and here to help? Um, yeah, I definitely wasn't expecting like a kiss to happen in booth buddies, potentially through Star Marco in a rather awkward situation at the time, but I kind of took it as like another hint of where their true feelings were. And of course, Here to Help, was the one where they finally have that second kiss, and it's like, yay, Star Marker, finally a couple. And even later in the episode, or at least in like one of the last episodes where Star sees that tapestry that doesn't include Marco, she's like, but what about my, where she's like, but what about my boyfriend Marco? Can't, you just even do the thing where he holds my hand and that kind of thing? So it's like, yeah, so it was really nice to like see them finally come together. Funny enough, I do remember saying in the past that I would have also liked if they gave maybe more time to see Star Marco in a romantic relationship rather than saving it for the ending. But then again, got to keep up the suspense in some way, I guess. But yeah, but I guess that's what fan comics are for, in terms of like, getting to see, getting to have the viewer's imagination come up with what would it look like if Star and Marco finally went on a date with each other and that sort of thing. Because, you know, I think there were some people who were like, oh, why didn't they kiss one last time, like in Cleve? But honestly, again, I don't really mind that they didn't do a last kiss because, again, I think that it leaves things open to interpretation. So I kind of like how they sort of give room for the viewers to have, like, their own thoughts of what do you think Star Marco did next. Yuzu said, what I meant to say at the end of the episode, I expected Star Marco to come clean, talk about how much their feelings were actually genuine as opposed to the curse. Yeah, I could see that, but yeah, yeah, but I will say I know some aren't really crazy about the Starko story arc, and yeah, I think the one thing that I didn't really like about the romantic relationships in Star was that it started to get kind of like clustered with all these different relationships happening. Like you had Star Marco not ready to reveal the true feelings, and Tom goes back, or where Star goes back with Tom for a while, and Marco goes with Kelly, but then that relationship ends really abruptly. But I will say I do like how it took its time to, go from Star Marco, kind of like, possibly having, romantic feelings to them, very slowly getting to the point where they even confess their feelings. Like, I think it even got to a point where they knew each other's feelings, but they still didn't want to, like, come out and say how they really felt until the episode Here to Help. Um, Cyber Chimera says it was a bittersweet ending. Are you which ending are you referring to? And Yuzu said, "What I meant to say at the end of the episode, I expect." Oh, I already read that, but yeah. And Cyber Chimera said, "Because I and many others wanted one more season." Yeah, I know. Um, yeah, I also yeah, but I really wish that I think Star could have definitely benefited from maybe at least one more season, if anything, just so that just to kind of flesh things out, because I do think that the ending was came off as really rushed. But maybe down the line we'll get something like a Star versus the Forces of Evil Disney Plus movie or a sequel series on Disney Plus. Which is funny because when I covered Disney's Investor Day a while ago, the one where they announced, oh, we're making a Zootopia series and a Tiana series, and it seemed like a lot of the TV shows they were cooking up mainly centered around either Disney's feature animation, their animated movies, or Marvel or Star Wars, and we didn't see too much from like Disney Channel or Disney XD. So unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna get something like that in the near future. But it's still like nice to think about. But at the same time, I'm also curious to see what Darren Nefsey is working on at Nickelodeon. Um, yeah. Because I think two things that does give me hope that there's at least a possibility of Star having some sort of continuation is one, the Phineas and Ferb Candace Against the Universe movie, because that was a Disney Channel show that had been discontinued but brought back and put on Disney Plus, and also Disney I think due to the coronavirus pandemic, is turning even more to making series for Disney Plus, and also because the service is a success, they're going to have to just keep churning out content in order to keep it going and keep all those subscribers happy. I think also the success of The Mandalorian contributed to a big part as to why Disney is coming out with things like, WandaVision just came out on Disney Plus, and we're going to start seeing things like The Bad Batch in Baymax, the Baymax show, and also Tiana is getting a show. Really curious to see. I don't follow the Big Hero 6 TV show that closely, but I'm wondering if there's going to be a Baymax show on Disney Plus, what does that mean for Big Hero 6 the series? I kind of have a bad feeling that since Disney has a tendency of pulling the plug on shows at around the 4th season mark, maybe the Baymax show could sort of work as a continuation, but we'll have to see. What do you think of Janna? I think Janna is a pretty cool character. It's funny. And I do think that that Janna could be helpful, if creepy at times, but still an enjoyable character. I'm wondering if there's ever a Star series, are we going to see Tom and Janna in like a relationship? Because I think they were sort of testing the waters in that one episode where we saw I think it was called Shenanigans or something like that. That episode. Aside of reading Star fan comics, especially Mooring Marks, do you read some other Star fan fictions? Not really. I'm more of like a person who goes on Instagram and sees all these Star fan artists. Like I think of people like I don't know if this is how you pronounce the name, like Dana or Dana the Shipper. And also, I really like Gravity Fying. Those two artists in particular, I really like when they come out with Star art. And I also like the fan art of. I'm really sorry if I'm mispronouncing these names of Def Matchbot or Def Macbot on DeviantArt. Like those are the artists, Star fan artists that I really enjoy, and I recommend checking out their work on Instagram and DeviantArt. I think Tumblr too. Cyber Chimera says Star versus Future, LOL. Maybe. Although, funny enough, if they ever make a Meteora or Mariposa show, would they call it Meteora versus the Forces of Evil? Or would they just call it Meteora and Mariposa? Name kind of reminds me of Thelma and Louise for some reason, even though I would imagine the two stories are really different. I will say I am kind of curious about the kind of legacy that Star could have, especially when I consider what was my favorite show before Star, which was Avatar, which is now basically Avatar has like exploded in certainly ways that I didn't expect, and that now it has a YouTube channel that posts regular clips. It has a live action Netflix show that's, I think it's still in development even though the creators have left, and it's now being seen as like it's kind of being seen as like one of the main classic series. If I'm being honest, I don't think Star is going to have that kind of legacy. What I think will happen is I still think it'll have like a lot of energetic fans supporting it, kind of like how we see with like Kim Possible. Even though Kim Possible has been off the air for years, there's still a lot of Kim Possible fans around on like social media. So I could see Star going in that sort of direction where I think in like years from now, people will be like, very nostalgic about the show, and it'll be the thing where it's like, oh, I remember watching that show when I was in my like 20s or when I was a teen. And not gonna lie, rewatching Junkin' Janna and more Mark made me wish we got more Tom and Janna moments. If anything, I honestly would have preferred if we got more Tom and Janna moments more than the Kelly and Marco ones. I mean, not that Kelly's a bad character. I actually really liked the episode Kelly's World. but I just didn't like how it just kind of got like thrown in this like pile of relationships, and it just ends abruptly, like literally in that episode where they're flying the dragon cycles. Kind of like, oh, we ended it. It's like that's it. Like no big scene. You're just gonna say everything's over. So yeah, I don't know. I thought that was just a really abrupt and strange way to end the relationship. Which Starco children do you like most from fan artists? If I'm being honest, the only one that I really like got invested in would be Cressida Butterfly or Cressy, mainly because I really like the stories that Gravity Fying, or let me double check how you say the name because I want to make sure. But I think you could get at least the gist of what I'm saying. Gravity Fying, yes. Because I really liked how this person was able to really make investing like stories and make Cressy into this really relatable character. I really like how the world has been expanded in the stories, and I really like even seeing like how Star Marco's relationship progresses in their adult years. So yeah, I would actually honestly I would say that Cressy is the one like character that I really was invested in. Kyber or Cyber Chimera says, for me the big three were Star versus Steven Universe and Avatar, and you also like Gravity Falls, which I also really liked. Gravity Falls, which admittedly I kind of felt that Gravity Falls had a more consistent story. What would I consider my favorites? Like some of my favorites would be I really like Avatar. It's still my favorite Nickelodeon show. Star also. I would at least recommend people who haven't checked out Star at least give it a one watch, because I think people would at least find one or two things that they found really outstanding. I haven't kept up on Steven Universe in a while. Do you watch Owl House? Which I'm currently caught up on the Owl House, which I also really like too. It's too early for me to say if it's going to be like my favorite Disney Channel show, since they just got done wrapping up the first season and we're waiting on the second. But yeah, I also really like Owl House. And speaking of Owl House, here is a shipping flag that I made for Owl House. If you could guess which ship this is, you win a cookie. Not really. I don't have any cookies here. I would prefer Chips Ahoy myself. Yeah. So yeah. So we just have been having a lot of fun discussing Star with you all. Anybody else who is coming in, feel free to chime in the comment section about your thoughts on the show. The Owl House looks like the successor of both Star and Gravity, and yeah, I agree in the sense that it's almost like Owl House is like a great mixture of the two. Like, yes, it has some really standout things, but it's almost like it's like a combination of like the magic of Star, but with some of the story arcs of Gravity Falls. Like the story arc between Ida and Lilith remind me a lot of Stan and Ford from Gravity Falls. And then also Alex Hirsch plays a couple of the characters like Hootie and King. You said, I haven't watched Owl House, but I sure am interested in seeing it on Disney Plus. I was so envious over any animation fan for watching it through cable. And yeah, don't get me wrong. I really wish that I had a cable plan at my house too. Basically, the way I watched the first season was I had to buy most of the episodes through iTunes. But the good news is now the first season is available to watch on Disney Plus. I don't know if it's like some licensing thing or like some kind of like policy at Disney, but I really wish they would just release the episodes on Disney Plus. Maybe what they're thinking is, oh, we want to get some of that like VOD iTunes money, and that's why they wait until the end of the season. I don't know for sure. If somebody who follows, who is much smarter than me, could probably explain that. But yeah, I'm so glad that the Owl House is now on Disney Plus. It's much more accessible in that way. And Yuzu, you said you understood the reference when I showed the flag. What can you guess what ship that was? Hey Gabby and hey Jeffrey, long time no see. Hey Jeffrey, yeah, I really miss getting to see you at Star events. So you said, well, it is reason I stay with both the Owl House and Star versus the Forces of Evil. Um, what exactly do you mean, Jeffrey? Could you clarify? Yeah, I mean, and yeah, it's also been really great. I mean, I've gotten to meet people like Jeffrey actually in person at Star events in the past, and it's been like good fun to meet up with people. Because even though yes, I interact with a lot of Star fans on social media, uh, what really like hits the spot for me is when I finally get to meet these people in person. You know, like I'm very much a believer in the idea that social media is as public as being in like Grand Central Station, but I really do enjoy the opportunities to meet fans and crew. Jeffrey said, meaning that these are really the only two Disney shows I like the most. I am thinking of sort of like expanding my wings into other shows. Like, I really need to get back into Amphibia. I heard some really crazy things happen with Amphibia. And there's also that show coming out, The Ghost and Molly McGee. Guessing, it's funny, like, it's kind of interesting. It seems like Ghost and Molly McGee has already built up quite the fan base. Because not to brag, but whenever I put up videos relating to the Curse of Molly McGee. I'm calling it by the old name, The Ghost and Molly McGee. I'll never get used to saying that new name. But anyway, Ghost and Molly McGee, he must have built up a fan base because every time I post a few videos on Ghost and Molly McGee, those videos get like hundreds of views, and I'm just like, holy crap. I appreciate the support, but I'm just like, holy cow, it seems like it gets built up quite the fan base. Yuzu said, I believe the name of that ship goes by Lumity, which, yes, the ship between Luce and Amity, which now that's become the big, ambiguous, like, ship, because we know that Amity, like, hold on a second, do you mind, Owl House spoilers, Yuzu? Before I get into more about what I was about to say about Lumity, Jeffrey said, well, for me, Bobby, I'm someone who can do outings, but unless the bug gets settled down, might not meet in person, but would like to meet up again. And yeah, that's personally just how I, feel too. I really hope to do meetups again. I don't know if you could see, Jeffrey, but recently I upgraded to a new camera, the Nikon Z6, and oh my god, every time I look at that camera, I'm just like, I want to go to sports games. I want to put this camera on a gimbal and like go around and meet and go to comic conventions and film and just like get back to filming and teaming up with Gabby again. I mean, I'm still looking forward to the day when me and Gabby learn how to balance a gimbal and do those really crazy handheld shots. It's like it's like, well, all of a sudden it looks like I'm trying to make a Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu movie, just maybe not as epic. But Yuzu said, yeah, I think I'd rather wait until I watch it first, but thanks for bringing up spoiler warnings. Oh yeah, I dare not say any Lumity spoilers, especially there's an episode called Enchanting Grom. I think it's Enchanting Grom, right? I'll double check. But, like, that is very spoilery if I give away details. And let me tell you, like, especially when it came to Star, or I wouldn't tolerate spoilers. I'm very kind of like, it's weird. When I watched Avatar, I actually wanted to get spoilers because I couldn't wait for the new episode. But it's like Star, I was just like la 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 la. Don't tell me anything about the new episode, or my brain's going to explode. So I would just like take social media breaks and just not go on Instagram or Twitter when a new episode was released. I think the one really big spoiler that unfortunately I found out about was the Jackie and Marco kiss in season 2, because I saw somebody posted the video and it had Star's really like sad face when she saw that Marco and Jackie were skating, and it was like, the Marco and Jackie kiss, and I was like, I'm melting, and yeah, just a really sad day, as if that episode Bon Bon the Birthday Clown wasn't already scary as hell. But yeah, no, I don't. So if you don't want to get spoiled, Yuzu, not gonna say another word about Owl House spoilers. And yeah, some really epic things happen in the Owl House. It's off to a really great start, and I hope that the second season could really build on that. There's a lot of story arcs that I'm looking forward to seeing more of in the second season. Jeffrey said, Gabby said, I miss going to conventions. I really miss them as well. And I really got to give credit to my multimedia editor at the time, Yasmin, who my very first, technically the first convention I ever went to was Anime Expo. I don't remember the year. I think it was 2007. I think it was 2009 or 2008, and I decided to go. But that was before I cosplayed, so I really just went to AX as just somebody there to buy merchandise, basically. Merchandising. If you get the Mel Brooks reference, God bless. But I didn't really start getting into conventions until my multimedia editor was like, hey, you want to go to one of the Long Beach comic conventions and cover it for a paper? And I was like, yeah, that sounds really cool. But it was funny because I think I remember bumping into her, and she knew I liked Star, and she was like, how come you're not dressed up as Marco? And I was like, no. And so next convention I went in red hoodie just like Marco. But admittedly, I was kind of sad that nobody got the costume, and so that's where the idea of this Blood Moon cosplay that my amazing sister Penny, who's also done much of the art that you've seen on this channel, created, and I'm really thankful that she made this costume. So yeah, I'm really miss going to conventions too, Gabby. And yeah, I'd really like to see what you can do with the Nikon Z6, which is also that was the camera that me and Gabby, we got to check out in person at a camera store in downtown LA before the pandemic. And I also really want to go to more of those camera preview events. I remember going to one for Panasonic as well when they unveiled their first full frame mirrorless camera. Yeah, as Gabby pointed out, Spaceballs the toilet paper, Spaceballs the flamethrower. The kids go nuts for this one. And also the toy, Venus wants me with you. And I don't know if I've shown this on camera, but Gabby, but Penny, my sister, got me this a while ago of Helmet, and it says, I'm surrounded by assholes. So yeah, I've seen a couple Mel Brooks movies. I've seen Blazing Saddles and Spaceballs. But I really should see, my dad and sis say I really should check out Young Frankenstein and The 12 Chairs. And I almost said Mel Blanc. Mel Brooks is easily one of my favorite comedy directors. I really like just how insane things get in Blazing Saddles. I remember watching it in a comedy analysis class, and just I really like how just how like over the top the symbolism, and just how like my professor took it with really crazy things about how I don't want to get into like really spoilery specifics, but just how it blends with the modern world and that sort of thing. And just, my God, Mel Brooks just like he didn't just break the fourth wall in Blazing Saddles or Spaceballs for that. He just like freaking obliterated the fourth wall in those two movies. I really like his fourth wall jokes are easily some of the most creative that I've seen from really from any director. I highly recommend both Spaceballs and Blazing Saddles. Um, Gabby said, Colin, my boyfriend, is a huge Mel Brooks fan. He's the one who showed me Blazing Saddles. I know that my dad and sis have seen 12 Chairs and the producers together. Never got a chance to check those out, but maybe I will one of these days, because I do really enjoy talking about animated films and movies, but I also like dipping my toe into live action every once in a while. Like, that's what got me into watching movies like Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver, which is my favorite Scorsese film, and also the two versions of The Fly, both the David Cronenberg one and the one that had Vincent Price in it. I mean, just, if I start talking about The Fly with Jeff Goldblum, I would just like not shut up and just be kind of scared again, because the final transformation in that movie is so scary. It's like, it's legitimately, even to this day, even years after seeing the movie, I like, I always have to like look over my shoulder at night. It's like, holy crap. It's one of the, I mean, granted, I don't really watch horror movies, but it's like, it's one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. But I'm sure you've seen even scarier, Gabby, like the kind with legit jump scares. Like, there are a couple in The Fly, but it's like, they're the kind of scares you could see coming. Like, there's a scene where there's this like this one character who's looking through Jeff Goldblum's computer and seeing what his plan is, and then he like jumps out and like ambushes the character. But it's like, you could kind of see scares like that coming, or the scene where he jumps into like a hospital by like jumping through the window. It's like, you get what I'm saying. I kind of, yeah, I mean, if those legitimately freak you out, I could understand. And but yeah, but and Jeffrey said Rick Moranis being the bad guy in that film, although no surprise, he was also in a Donald music video titled Tomorrow Girls. If you've never heard of this, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that, Jeffrey. When are we, like, we're talking about Star, right? So, Gabby, actually, you want to talk about your favorite moments and characters from Star? As well, because I also want, everybody that comes by here to also get a chance to talk about Star. And, Gabby says, I kind of watch a little bit of everything when it comes to horror. Hard to say what's scarier. Because what I meant by that was, like, something like the Child's Play movies. That's something that, like, my mom would watch. Actually, something that I really should, learn from my mom is, like, the reason she can get through, like, horror movies like Child's Play and The Exorcist, it's mainly because, as she put it, she's like, she knows it's just a movie. It's that kind of thing where she doesn't take it, like, overly, like, seriously, and that sort of thing. But, which, could be, a problem, but it's like, I like how she's able to, like, that's how she's able to get through these kind of horror movies, and that was why, recently she picked up a copy of Natalie Portman's Black Swan, which I could imagine my mom getting through. I could just picture, like, if I showed her David Cronenberg's The Fly, I mean, she probably, first of all, wouldn't like it because Goldblum says the F word like 3 times in the movie. But if she saw Brundlefly, she would probably just be like, oh, it's just a puppet, or, oh, it's just Jeff Goldblum in makeup, and that kind of thing. So it's like, not gonna lie, I wish I had that sort of mentality. It would help me get through a lot more movies. So yeah, Gabby said Eclipse is your favorite character. I know, like every time we would have discussions, you would be like really hyped about Eclipse, and you like said early on you didn't think that Eclipse was gonna be like a villain, right? Which I was worried Eclipse was gonna be one of those characters who starts off nice but then turns into the evil villain. But by the time we got to say the season 3 finale, we realized no, Eclipse is more of like a heroic character. Jeffrey says, well, it has to be Marco. He has common sense, sometimes can be emotional like me, but also not afraid to do things when it comes to where he makes a difference. Yeah, and yeah, those are really admirable traits about Marco, and I would say me that Marco is easily one of my favorite characters. I do think that there are some really admirable things about Star. Like I really like how she has the mindset of I think strangers are just friends you haven't met yet. But I would say I relate to Marco the most in that how he's often afraid to show his feelings. But when he can do really crazy epic things and really show his more like enthusiastic side, I think, it's really great. And it's kind of funny to a point where my dad even says he thinks that like Marco has become like my alter ego. So it's like Peter Parker and Spider-Man and that kind of thing. But yeah, Gabby and Jeffrey, what was yeah, and Gabby said, right, I was a little worried she was going to be coerced to go against the kids, like to bring back her husband, but she never really did anything evil. And yeah, I mean, the closest you could say, and this isn't really like a bad thing, it was more out of desperation, is when, like, I think she, like, swapped souls with, Romulus or something, or took over Romulus's body and that kind of thing before Star stepped in and stopped things from getting too hairy. But yeah, I would say overall Eclipse is a really sweet character with a really good story arc. And I think I even teared up when I saw that scene. And this is another one of my favorite scenes in Star when we see Eclipse defeat Meteora, but we see that actually turns Meteora back into a baby. And I thought that was really. I just get feels because I remember just how quiet that scene was, and Eclipse can't believe that she's had to take down her daughter, and then all of a sudden she starts hearing this baby like crying, and she goes up and sees that Meteora has been like reborn and turned back into a baby. So yeah, I love that scene. I thought that was a really great way to end season 3. So that's kind of what I meant. It's funny how like I wasn't really a fan of the ending of season 4, but I really like the season finales of seasons 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. So Gabby said, to be fair, Romulus was getting out of hand though. Yeah, and he was always kind of like the sort of whiny, bratty kind of character, if you will. Like, didn't he get thrown into like that sort of like timeout corner? And yeah. Jeffrey and Gabby, did you want to list some of your favorite episodes? Yeah, crying emoji. Yeah, that's how I really like that ending of season 3. Jeffrey said, true. I mean, pretty much the Magic Council was formed during the time, so I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing Solaria's name wrong. Was Solaria was queen, and she was one character, the biggest mistake that led to Star destroying magic due to Mina Loveberry. Although I think one could argue there is a chance that maybe magic could come back in the sense that you remember the Meteora's lesson episode where Glossric goes up to the settlers and hands over Meteor's rattle, and it has the magic unicorn inside. So that was a case where there was no Magic High Commission in that scene. It was just Glossaryck handing over that magic rattle. The question is, where in the universe are they going to find magic now, though, if it were to ever return? Yeah, this is the whole Meteora reveal. Yeah, I really liked the Meteora reveal, oh hey, trying to remember how to pronounce your name. I think it was Caio Cesar Marquez. For me, the season 3 finale feels a lot like a series finale. I would say both that and actually the ending of Battle from Uni. Like, oh my god, could you imagine if Butterfly Mode Star was like saved for the very end of the series? Like, if there was this big epic battle. Now, granted, if they saved it for the end of the series, it may not be the best time to demonstrate it because Star doesn't end up like defeating Mina Loveberry for magic the same way, characters like Toffee were defeated. But yeah, I see what you mean. The only things that stop it from being a series finale, though, is there were still a lot of, story arcs that still had to be solved at the time, like Star and Marco's relationship, and it ends on Meteora and Eclipsa getting to see Globgor after all these years. Which, did anybody guess when Glossaryck was going around saying, Globgor, 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 he was referring to Eclipsa's husband the whole time? And speaking of the baby characters in Star, actually one story arc that I really, really related to, probably one of my favorite Marco related story arcs, was actually the one with baby Mariposa, the baby sister that he ended up getting uh and in the final season. And I just really like seeing the scenes of Mariposa having fun. And I guess I really related to like Marco's sense of wanting to keep a sibling safe, like as a person who gets along really well with my sister and who often helps me out going through a lot of the challenges of my life and creating a lot of the artwork for my channel. So I actually teared up the second time I watched what was the episode, the Gone Baby Gone episode, where we saw Teen, Meteor, and Mariposa, and we see Meteor and Mariposa agreed to go back to the present time, and they revert back to babies. And I just remember tearing up because I remember just thinking, oh my god, both Meteor and Mariposa, they have a good future ahead of them, and that they're going to be capable fighters just like Star and Marco. And I also liked how Marco gets another chance at proving that he could take care of Mariposa. And I also just also like that scene in Cleaved where when Mariposa is like, see you later to Marco, she's using the penguin puppet that Marco gave her in the episode. I thought that was really cute. And Jeffrey said, yep, because he was needing to be freed. But the episode that I really liked was Gone Baby Gone because we saw Marco's sister and Eclipse's baby all grown up. And I could also see it as potential for a sequel series or if not a movie. Jeffrey said, and a side note, fan artist Maury Mark made a pretty big comic about Mariposa and Meteor, which I followed and I really liked the comic as well. I also really liked I also thought a comic that Mormar came up with lately that was really sweet was the one where Mina hangs around with this kid who turns out to be like Meteora, seems to be half human and half monster, and we see that Mina really gets along with this kid, and even when she finds out that this kid happens to be part monster, she doesn't want to ruin the relationship. I really love that. That comic was really sweet. I thought that was really nice. Could be a potential redemption arc for Mina in the future. Yeah, and as I was saying previously, I think realistically a nice continuation for Star would either be a sequel series or maybe some sort of Star movie like the one Phineas and Ferb just had on Disney Plus. And it says, I still think of the other dimensions that still got unexplored. Yeah, and another thing that I was also thinking about, I mean, it would also be cool if we got to see even more of the dimensions. One that didn't really get explored in the show was I remember in Star Marco's guide to, I think it was Star Marco's guide to mastering every dimension. There was one like aquatic one that we didn't really see in the show. I remember Gabby lent me a comic that I think took place in that, but I don't recall seeing that. So maybe they'll do something like that. Cybercomer says, I think they could do a time skip like Steven Future did. I'm not super caught up on Steven Universe, but I understand in like the later episodes we see Steven gets older. Is that it's something that Cyber and Gabby couldn't let me know? Gabby, what'd you say? I don't think I caught on to what he meant when Glossaric kept on saying Globgore. Yeah, honestly, I didn't know what he meant either. I thought he was just saying gibberish because he was like crazy or something. Because oh, Glossaric has come back to life. I even heard there's like theories people speculate that Glossaric could come back to life because he's died multiple times in the past. And but yeah, I didn't know what Glossaric meant when he kept on saying Globgore, Globgore, Globgore. And Jeffrey, what'd you say? That's possible. I mean, Adam hinted that maybe Darren could skip ahead in time. It might make the future Star Marco. Of course, Darren has been keeping close watch on Mooring Mark's comic lately. Ooh. I know that Darren likes the comic. I remember her telling me that as much as I like the comics, though, I'm not sure if they're just going to like just take the comics and like just write a whole show about them. Because I still could imagine, like, if Darren were to get back with a team or start a new team for a sequel series, I could imagine them throwing in a lot of like twists and turns so that it isn't just like following the comic and it becomes like too predictable. But I still remember going to this event where like Adam MacArthur kind of teased the idea maybe one day we'll see like a little Marco Jr. running around, referring to maybe someday a Star Marco when they become adults, maybe they'll, like get married and have children. Maybe this is just my inner or like Blood Moon fan speaking, but I'm just like maybe they should have ended Star on a dance. It's like because I'm not sure if Star Marco can remember the Blood Moon Ball dance because if you or actually, I guess it could be debated because Tom said in order for the Blood Moon Curse to work, Star Marco would have to lose the memory of when they first fell in love And Marco did say that he kind of implied, he was saying like, I'm not a little boy. I know you don't just fall in love when you know love at first sight, and things just got more intense from the beginning. So I guess in a way it could be like taken to fan interpretation, because when exactly did Star and Marco fall in love with each other? Did they have feelings at first and just never wanted to really express them? Jeff said, well, there is always a concept when it comes to fan art and such. It has happened for a few shows I know of. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I really like how I think that Star has brought out a lot of creativity and a lot of fan artists. Like I said, a lot of Mooring Mark and Gravity Flying's work, I actually feel like it feels like it's part of the Star series to me. Like it's that well done to me. It feels really convincing. And although I'm not really sure, maybe it could be like a source of inspiration, but I'm not sure if they'll like go the whole way. I think the only like fan related creation that I could kind of see having a big role to play in a final product would be something like Mother 3, like the Game Boy Advance game, because I know there's a lot of like people who love how the fan translation of that game was very like close to the Japanese version, like not censoring all that much. Although in that particular case, the concern was maybe Nintendo would sugarcoat things so that it fit more with the brand image and it would be more accepted in the West and that kind of thing. But anyway, but in the case of Star, or I don't know, we'll just have to see. I mean, I do want to see like maybe a Star sequel series at some point, though. Gabby says that fan theories are pretty fun. Yeah, they are. I myself, I don't really do theories anymore because I don't think I'm very good at like really nailing how things will go in a series. Although it is kind of fun to think about, what could happen in ongoing shows like The Owl House, for example. Thinking about Mother 3 just makes me think of the Pollyanna song from Earthbound. I really like the remix of that song in Super Smash Brothers Brawl. Yuzu said, any thoughts on Tom as a character? I personally think that Tom is a decent character. I really like seeing his character development and, seeing him go from this really angry guy to a person who becomes better friends with characters like Jana, Star, and Marco. Um, I think the only thing I didn't really like about Tom was like seeing the Tom Star relationship was just kind of wishy washy to me. Like I felt that I could understand Star going back with Tom, but I just didn't really feel much for the relationship when they got back together. And Gabby said Steven Universe future was a bit peculiar. I don't know how that would work with Star. Can you try explaining why? Because, like I said, I'm not caught up on Steven Universe, so I'm not sure how things go in that series. What did Jeffrey say? Well, I know many out there see the Jan Tom pairing as more valid since Jana likes creepy and supernatural stuff, which fits well to Tom well. Um, yeah, yeah, that I think that's actually a big part of why I think that the Jan Tom relationship could potentially work. I mean, they already have something in common, and they seem to work off each other pretty well. Just needs to be more fleshed out. Let me actually see if I could pull up the Jan Tom flag that me and my sis came up with. Which I don't have on here either. I really should be putting more of my shipping flags on my phone. However, I'm already shown the one for Glock Flips. Here's one I'll actually show a few on the way to finding the one I made for Jan Tom. Here's one that I made for Cloaky. See, inspired by the flag of Quebec in Canada and also the Francophone flag in for Ontario. Here's one for Tom Star that me and my sis worked on. My sis worked on the Tom face. Because I remember I made like a collage of them. Yeah, no, can't find it. Sorry. I mean, basically, um, I've said that. Well, actually, the Jan Tom one, it was basically like a green flag with a purplish red center. Like it's sort of like a inspired by the Japanese flag because I really like how they sort of made Tom into like the samurai looking character. And in the center of the circle there was a bat that was similar to the bat on Jana's phone holding a sword, like a samurai sword, and that kind of thing. So use this said I think if Star got the Steven Universe future treatment, she would possibly be out working through community activities. Do you mean she might be doing like things to help the community, like feeding the hungry and that sort of thing? Kaio says, I still want Star to appear in other media, comics like a new story arc or games like Kingdom Hearts. And you said that Darren apparently did Darren say she would love to see Star in Kingdom Hearts or what's EM? I don't know what EM is. But yeah, I could honestly, yeah, I'm kind of surprised that well, I shouldn't be surprised, but I could see Star in something like Kingdom Hearts. I think that would be pretty cool. Seeing Star fight alongside Sora. Would be nice if they could make more Star books or even like a comic follow-up series, like kind of like with Avatar with The Promise, they came out with more graphic novels. I heard one even reveals what happens to Zuko's mother Ursa. Cause Epic Mickey. Oh, Epic Mickey. Yeah, I remember that game series on the Wii. Yeah. Star going on adventures with Mickey Mouse. That actually sounds pretty interesting. I've personally had this idea of more so standalone Star games where maybe they could do a thing where it's like the Star's equivalent of Super Mario 3D World, where you get to play as either, like, just as of example, like you could play as either Star, Marco, Eclipsa, or Tom. Or even something like I've had these ideas of like the Disney television animation equivalent of like Super Smash Brothers Brawl or Mario Kart. Like, could you imagine like a Disney TVA tournament fighter where it's like Ida versus Star or Marco versus Amity or Anne from Amphibia versus I don't know, Hero from Big Hero 6? It's, or like a Mario Kart like game where you see stars driving around casting spells on like Cricket from Big City Greens or Ida or Lilith or that sort of thing. Yeah, it's just kind of too bad that when it comes to Disney, they mainly focus on like, I mean, I get it that yes, they want to focus on the money, but at the same time, I wish they would kind of give more chances to their television animation. Yeah, so Yuzu said, yes, as you stated, excuse me, I'm not dying here, just something in my throat. Give me a second. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. Just put in a request for some drinking water because my throat is kind of, needs a bit of clearing. So, you just said yes, as you stated, I could see Star at feeding the homeless, helping to build houses and support worthy causes. Gabby said, well, in general, we follow Stephen for a much longer time. Oh, thank you. It's kind of a little awkward eating and drinking with this mask on. Um, Gabby says, well, in general, we follow Steven for a much longer time. A lot more like we follow Finn from Adventure Time. We haven't really gotten to see Star grow as much as them, which makes it a little more. Yeah, because I think in the case of Star, don't we follow the characters over the course of like a year or so? So, yeah, so the advantage of doing a sequel series is though if it's years later, especially if it's been like let's say they do a Star series like years down the line, they could take advantage of the time that's passed, and so if they were to do Star years later as a sequel series, it wouldn't come off as jarring. So what did kind of says like SSBS style gameplay. I think you're referring to Super Smash Brothers, but I don't know which one. But yeah, that's kind of what I meant before. Like, I would like to see maybe something like, I don't know. Oh my god, could you imagine if like such a game existed and King was fighting Bill Cipher? It would be kind of fun to have like a Star, at least some sort of like Star game on like the Nintendo Switch. For a second, I had the Men at Work song Down Under stuck in my head. You know, maybe my mind is just drifting off to Australia. Yuzi said, fun fact, I was watching a ton of finales prior to watching Cleaved. For other shows, so I do know at the time when Star was coming to an end, a lot of other shows were also coming to a close. Cybercomer said, least favorite, Ponyhead and the King. Yeah, I could see, why some may find Ponyhead and River to be really annoying. I actually know a couple people who really hate like how childish River can get. I don't know, like I think between the two, I would say Ponyhead is the more grating. I think for me, like they're not like bad characters like morally, but I would say for at least River, I could see his more fatherly side at times. But yeah, he can get pretty like obnoxious. Yeah, and I also find it to be like kind of crazy how it's kind of crazy how dependent he is on Moon. Because I remember in the Battle for Muni, one of the Battle for Muni episodes, we see that like Moon even goes as far as like I think they show like Moon even goes as far as to like prep River's outfit, and without her, he just basically becomes a party animal. God says that one thing about Star that I got surprised is that the series had 3 pilots. I didn't know that because I do remember. I think there was a pilot where the show was called Star and the Forces of Evil, but I didn't know there were 3. I also know. I remember hearing that like at one point, Star was supposed to be like a younger character who thought she had magic, as opposed to being like a princess character who had magic powers and such. It's funny. God, says that is the third. Yeah, I'll have to look into it. I didn't know that there were as many as 3 pilots. It's funny. I actually have a weird story in regards to this wallet. Which, first of all, thank you to my cousins Anna and Andrew for getting this for me for Christmas. They also got me a Star plushie. You can see that I actually got signed by Darren FC. That one time I interviewed her, but yeah, this wallet has like been through a lot because I remember going to that event. I was such a dummy, and my pockets were like stuffed full of like my wallet and other equipment, and I put the wallet in my pocket, and I was with my friends Steven and Gabby. Gabby, if you're still here, I think you remember this story. And we were going off to a nearby restaurant to eat ramen. And when we got there, my wallet wasn't there, and I was like, oh no, it must have dropped on the street. And I remember going outside to like double check. I had to like retrace my steps from the ramen restaurant to the gallery nucleus and couldn't find it. And yeah, because I remember I like kept like my cards, and I kept some like things in there. And yeah, it was really tough. I could barely. I remember being like so like disappointed in myself that I couldn't really eat my ramen. And we ended up going back to the gallery. I want to say after we had our lunch to see, and like Darren, Dominic, and Amber were still there. I remember asking them, hey, have you seen the or the wallet? And they were like, unfortunately, no. So I thought, yeah, unfortunately, I thought my wallet was gonna be a goner. But I remember like a week or two after it happened. I'm still really glad that we went to the event. I should have just been more careful. Well, we remember thinking at the time, we were scared to think maybe somebody was gonna like sell it on eBay or something, especially because it had Darren F's signature. And I remember a week or two later, I got a letter from the Alhambra Police Department saying that, hey, we found your wallet. I remember going down there with my mom and being like, really relieved that like this is one of the lucky cases where I was able to get it back. And when we got it back, we noticed that the small amounts of cash inside it were gone. So probably somebody stole the money, but at least we got the wallet back. I remember being so overjoyed to tell Darren the next time when the Blood Moon Ball event came, and I remember telling her, and she was like, "Oh, good. I was worried, about what would happen." So, yeah, really crazy stuff. Yeah, he says, well, yeah, I mean, if it was a time skip the same way as they do in Steven Universe Future, because we're quickly guided into the setup for Future by film, and not a lot of time has and you said Steven works because we've been there to see him mature, so it's easy to jump into his young adult life. With Star, we'd be left with a lot more gaps to fill. Yeah, so I take your word for it. Maybe, like, maybe they do find ways to make the jump feel less sudden in Steven Universe. I'd have to watch it to know for sure, but yeah, if they were to do like a sudden jump from, let's say they made a season 5 where she's suddenly older, it would be more jarring than if they were to do like a series jump, like, if they were to do a sequel series, kind of like with what Avatar they did with the Legend of Korra, which takes place years later. Although, unlike the Legend of Korra, I think it would be nice to see like Star Marco at least in one more series, because in Legend of Korra, to my understanding, a lot of the characters, like Aang, have passed on prior to the events in the show. Like, they still have flashbacks, but as far as I know, wasn't like a living, breathing character. You said a really tough time to say the least from 2017. So I went out to try to test a quote of, I learned that you're about how it's not about the destination, it's the journey, by watching a ton of series. Yeah, and I think those are really good words to live by. I think it's so easy to get caught up on thinking, I gotta go from point A to B, rather than focusing, what I have to do to get there. And that's a lesson that I'm also trying to remind myself, especially these days. So I'm glad that you learned that, Yuzu. I think something that I've been trying to learn to cope with is like my sort of fear of failure, and that I recently learned, learned a lot of new hobbies recently, as I said in my 2021 video. But something that I didn't mention in the video, but a quote that I've been living by is, it goes along the lines of aim for the moon, and even if you miss, you'll land in the stars. So I kind of like that mindset of thinking that, even like, you should still give challenging things a try, and even if you don't succeed, you'll either learn something from it, or even just giving it a shot, was worth the experience. just kind of reminds me of all those times I struggled to learn how to even use the software I'm recording this stream on OBS. It's a nightmare here to learn because I had to basically learn how to optimize the software for my computer. And that's why in a lot of our older streams the frame rate is really god awful because it's just that my computer wasn't like optimized enough, so I had to do like a bunch of steps, and it even involved getting the data rate of my internet connection and all those kind of nerdy things, and just but ultimately I'm still glad about the way that this stream is turning out. Like, I wouldn't even have gotten here if I didn't at least try. So I don't know, have you heard that quote before, Yuzu or anybody else watching? I think my next step would be to try to use that Nikon Z6 as a webcam one of these days, but I don't know if it would work well with this laptop. I actually tried to get it to work with this Olympus EPL9, and it just caused OBS to freeze, so maybe it's just that my computer is starting to like get up there in age. Yeah, so you just said no, I don't think I haven't. So, but yeah, so I'm really glad I also came across that quote too. I actually first came across it in a video from the YouTuber Abroad in Japan, Chris Broad. I really like his videos. If you're really interested in learning about Japanese culture and even learning a few phrases, you should check out Chris Broad's channel. He's very sarcastic in his videos, but he gives really good tips on, like, what about Japanese culture, and even learning some phrases that even I didn't know. Yeah, but he says, "Yep, I remember that time at the wallet, and I'm still salty that I didn't get to really eat my ramen lunch that day. So if we go back to the Gallery Nucleus, we have to go back to that ramen place because I got to eat a little bit of it and I thought it was pretty good." It's just the kind of thing where it's like, I really want to eat ramen, but to make a really good one, it takes hours of prep work to make like the stock. I've even heard like some people say it could take a couple days is to do the stock correctly. And I'm just like, oh God in heaven. So, for any newcomers that are stopping by, we're talking about Star Wars: The Force of Evil on its 6th anniversary. Yes, the show debuted on this day in 2015, January 18th, 2015. Today is January 18th, 2021, and we've been just talking about our like favorite characters, favorite episodes, and what we would like to see from the future of these series. We'll say for Disney Plus subscribers, if you wanted to watch the entirety of Star, the whole show is now available on Disney Plus. So if you haven't watched it, the whole thing yet, you could go watch it on the Disney Plus streaming service. You said another fun fact: if it wasn't for my sister, I probably wouldn't had given the show a chance. And yeah, I mean, and I see what you mean. In my case, it wouldn't have been without my friends. Gabby and our friend Steven are the ones who helped me get into Star, and I'm really glad they did. This show has helped me really kickstart the YouTube channel that you're watching this stream on. Funny things. Something that just crossed my mind. I've gotten so into Star that I even named my island in Animal Crossing New Horizons Starco Island, or technically the official long name is the Royal Island of Star and Marco. And yeah. I wonder if anybody else has named their Animal Crossing island after places in Star or things like that, or maybe even after characters. And my mind is going back to playing Down Under. Gaio says, I only remember that someone made the dress of Star in Animal Crossing, and I think I've seen that before. I've even seen some people make a Marco. I even tried to get my Animal Crossing character to look like Marco with the red hoodie, but even then, the hoodie in Animal Crossing doesn't look quite like the one Marco wears in the show. It's like Ramen Run. Yuzu says, I've heard that some folks how Star reminds them of Steven Universe. I haven't been really able to really see that. Have you? Not really, in that the two shows have pretty different stories. I guess you could say there are some similarities in the art style and the kinds of characters and dynamics, but there's still pretty different shows from what I've seen. Gabby says, I can kind of see how Steven Universe and Star are similar in tone and message. And yeah. It's funny, I came across somebody's tweet showing Pokemon Snap on the Wii Shop channel, and now that just brings back memories of the Wii Shop. Still planning to do a video on. I still want to do videos on both new Pokemon Snap and that Indiana Jones game that Bethesda's working on. And the stories are old, but I'm still pretty excited for both. I mean, new Pokemon Snap might be the next Switch game I'm planning to pick up. And Gabby says, a lot of the people from Gravity Falls, Rick and Morty, Adventure Time, Star, and even Owl House all kind of know each other in some way, shape, or form, so they're bound to have similarities. And yeah, I even still remember Darren posting a picture of her with Rebecca Sugar, the creator of Steven Universe, and Alex Hirsch of Gravity Falls. But yeah, it's so cool that they all know each other. It's kind of like how I was like mind blown when I heard that Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, George Lucas, and Steven Spielberg are friends. Like, I'm just like, holy cow, these directors have like really like, drastically different styles, and they're buddies. I couldn't believe that. So yeah, I like seeing that. Yeah, and also some of the crew from those shows, like have worked on, uh, different shows throughout time. Like I remember, like one of the directors of Avatar: The Last Airbender episodes worked on Star, and one of the Star directors worked on Owl House episodes. Rebecca Sugar even made an introduction for the Invader Zim art book. So yeah, but even so, I still like how the shows themselves have their own, distinctions in their own ways. Yuzi said, how many cartoons have you been able to catch up on? Honestly, right now I've been taking a break from a lot of shows because intensity and that kind of thing, and just learning how to approach a lot of shows from a more fun sort of perspective without having to like make my brain explode. Because if I just continued going on the road I did, where I would kind of freak out when watching shows like Star or Infinity Train, I probably wouldn't be covering like cartoons anymore. And so I wanted to cover from a more enthusiastic mindset, because I know a lot of people legitimately have fun when they watch these shows. And I know I should like take things down a notch, since these I'm watching, this is a form of entertainment. This isn't like I'm doing something for work, or like my friends' lives like literally depend on it. So I've been taking a break. That's why I said in a prior video, that's why I picked up new hobbies like doing more cooking, and watching like travel and education channels like Geography Now and Abroad in Japan. Because I even said, when I saw the trailer for Battle for Mutiny, I remember being so nervous, it actually kind of made me feel a little nauseous. So I was like, I don't want to go through that again. I want to enjoy these shows just as much as the next person. And I think a big part of why I had those really visceral reactions, it's kind of like a form of like how like I hear with Home Alone. Like it's like when people watch the movies as a kid, it's like, oh, ha ha ha, slapstick and traps. And now when people watch those movies today, the ones who watched as a kid, now they grew up, they're like, oh my god, if that was real, the traps could probably kill the wet bandits. And so it's kind of like a thing where it's like the thing where I realize, even though those things might happen in real life, I have to like kind of keep it, tone it down a notch. It doesn't mean that I'm never gonna go back to shows like in Amphibia or Infinity Train. I just I'm just kind of taking a break. And that was why but I have been like catching up on some movies like The Croods: A New Age, which I liked, and Soul, the Pixar movie, which I thought was amazing. First act was kind of rushed, but the second and third acts were well worth the wait. Like, I think it's easily one of the best Pixar movies ever made. Because a part of me still really enjoys, like, hearing stories, analyzing them, and watching cartoons. Heck, honestly, lately, I've been binging a lot of Hey Arnold episodes on Hulu, and I like how I could understand where the characters are coming from emotionally now. Like, when I see episodes like the Chocolate Boy episode, or the one where Helga goes to the therapist. That actually is one of my favorite Hey Arnold episodes. I really like how it's a deep dive into Helga's character, and we really get to see who she really is. So, yeah. I would say that if I were to pick one that I have been following pretty close, though, it's Owl House. And that was like a turning point for me. That was when I started to approach it from a more kind of like fun perspective. Still analyzing the story, and like feeling sad whenever a really like intense moment would come, like the scene where Ida tries to actually I shouldn't spoil you should see it for yourself. The season finale of the first season of Owl House is fantastic, but I really want to start catching up on like shows like Hilda, for instance, but I don't want to get into too many promises. I've also been watching the Star Wars original trilogy and crossing that off my bucket list as well. Yeah, because I don't remember having these kind of like reactions when I would watch like Avatar: The Last Airbender as a kid. I probably, if I was introduced to it today, I would probably be like, "Whoa, what are you?" and would be just kind of too nervous to watch the new episode. I mean, it's the kind of thing where like I just wish, like what I was saying about my mom earlier. She knows that when she watches like horror movies, she knows that, oh, it's just a movie, and that's why my mom like doesn't like get like too scared to watch movies like The Exorcist or Child's Play. So I'd like to do the same with like a lot of cartoons. Hello, Isabella, would you say with that outfit you should take a tequila shot for a star? I'm I don't really like, let me explain. I don't really handle like alcohol super well, and that whenever like I drink like some, like if I have a sip of wine for New Year's, it tastes like I'm drinking straight up like acid, like it just kind of burns in my throat. But I'm told that it's just me trying to get used to like the taste of alcohol, sort of like how when I first started drinking coffee, it was like really strong to me even when I put like cream and sugar, and it was just like, "Oh, why is this so strong?" And something I did to get used to the taste of coffee was like I started ordering like the iced Starbucks drinks, like their iced coffee, and over time I was able to uh get used to the taste, and now I honestly really miss going to Starbucks. And actually, yeah, speaking of which, because I remember when I first saw Cleaved, like I remember when I first saw it, I was like so upset by the ending. I couldn't get it out of my head for weeks, and I really hated how like I, reacted that way. If anything, that makes me even more frustrated than the episode itself, because I really hated having those like times where it's like it would get so stuck in my head, it would get like distracted from like when I would go into work. It's like the thing, it's like when I go to work, I want to, focus on, like the stuff that I'm doing to help like car dealership websites. I don't want to, those thoughts on like a really intense show to like stick in my head. And it's just weird. It's like I don't have react this way when I look at like cutscenes from Mother 3. Like, okay, yes, I would feel really bad for like, the really dramatic stuff that happens in the story. And I remember just like feeling really sad for what happens to Lucas, but I don't remember like having these like, really like overly intense reactions. So it's just the kind of thing where I just have to, as I often tell Gabby, it's like I'm in a car with a terrible automatic transmission that's always in way too tall of a gear, So it's the kind where I have to tell myself, hey, get back into second gear, stop being in sixth. This is not one of those situations where you have to be in sixth gear. And they made another car joke. I really like Subarus. Anyway, Isabel, what you say? I completely understand, Bobby. By the way, since you mentioned horror films, what's your take on heavy metal music? Honestly, I don't really listen to heavy metal music much. I do like to listen to like metal and rock like every now and again. Like every once in a while I'll listen to a song from like Metallica or AC/DC. I don't know if they're considered like heavy metal, but I'm much more of an alternative and pop music sort of person, or some rock. I do like my taste in music. Basically, I like the Beatles and the Who, and I also really like the Bee Gees, like mainly like bands and music groups like those. Particularly, yeah, I particularly have a taste for a lot of like British pop and rock music. I would say those are among my favorite genres. Like, I even still remember watching the London Olympics, and they got to the segment where they showed the different British pop songs throughout the years, and I was introduced to so many, like, songs and bands from watching the opening and closing ceremony of that Olympics. And I was like, oh my god, Madness is so cool. And it's like, oh, that song from the Rolling Stones I really like. And I got to hear the Eurythmics song Sweet Dreams, which I remember hearing as a kid. And just, I mean, yeah, I got introduced to so much good music because of that Olympics and so many great bands. Yeah. And it's funny. I remember when I went to go see the first Kingsman movie, and they played the Dizzy Rascal song, "Bonkers." I was like, "Oh, it's the song from the Olympics." That's if you've seen Kingsman. There's a scene where the main character Eggsy goes on like drift racing, and they play that song. I was like, "Oh, that's so cool!" But yeah, yeah. I just remember seeing Kingsman and having fun with it. I mean, yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, no, like, Kingsman could get pretty violent. I mean, it has, it's meant to be more of a fun popcorn sort of movie, but I don't remember being like severely taken back by like the more intense scenes, like the scene where Eggsy is like told to there's I don't know if I really want to talk about on YouTube, where the scene where a certain character seemingly gets axed. Like, I don't remember like having those kind of reactions. So I'm just, just kind of learning to like sort of take it down a notch, and that's why I've been taking a break from reviewing shows and doing more like news stories lately, and also reviewing more movies that I didn't really get a chance to talk about. And was something that did convince me to like take things a little easier is I remember seeing Chris Stuckman's review of the dog scene from Kingsman. That's what I remember just thinking, oh no, is Eggsy gonna do it? Yeah. And so but anyway, back to Star. Isabel said, what's your favorite Star episode? Mine is a toss up between Monster Bash and Banagic Incident. Honestly, as much as had, even though these episodes are really, really intense, I really like the story behind them. Some of my favorite episodes include episodes like Toffee, the ending of Battle for Muni. I also really like Blood Moon Ball, as you could see from my costume. So those are some of my favorite Star episodes, for instance. I do kind of like the ending of Monster Bash, though. I kind of like how they had those, like, it was sort of like they did the thing where it looked like the police were, like, busting, like, Star's monster party and that kind of thing. I thought that was, kind of a, creative scene. But I think for me, I'm more a fan of the more story-driven Star episodes, shall we say. Yeah, Gabby says Blood Moon Ball has been up there for me too. And actually, another show that I've been watching too, and also looking into the history of the host of I'm not gonna say um, who hosts the show, but let's just say he's on PBS and now, or was, but now I'm understood the message of his show a lot more nowadays, and that's actually a good example. It's like now that I have a much better understanding of what this person was talking about, it actually made me feel really good about myself, and maybe it kind of like eased my insecurities. I mean, I think Gabby would know who I'm referring to, but yeah. Um, Gabby said Blood Moon Ball has been up there for me too. Also, any scene with Ruberiot because I love Fall Out Boy and Patrick Stump. I mean, I like Fall Out Boy too, but I kind of have this kind of like joking rivalry with like Ruberiot was the one who revealed Star and Marco in that Face the Music episode, which yeah, Face the Music, I really like how like things really built up in that episode, especially when we got to Song Day itself. Yeah, I really hope to one of these days cosplay as Prince Marco. And if I can't find and a if I'm not able to find somebody to cosplay as Star, maybe what I could do if I cosplay as Prince Marco is my sis made this wand because I cosplayed as Cape Marco once. Um and so maybe I could do the thing where I just walk around in like the Prince Marco um outfit and just walk around with this wand. I don't know, maybe. Who knows? But I just remember seeing Prince Mark I'm calling him Prince Marco, but Marco in that Prince outfit in that episode, and I actually asked, like, I was watching the episode at Gabby's house and with Steven, and I was like, I told him, pause, I want to get a good look at like Star Marco and their outfits, and I was just like, oh, they look so great in them, like it literally looks like Cinderella and Prince Charming. I thought it was just fantastic. And then, as Gabby points out in the chat, Ruberiot points out the elephant in the room. And Isabel says, I'm enjoying the stream even though it's nearly 11 o'clock at night since I live in Connecticut. And Isabel also said, given the distance, it's why I could not attend the gallery nucleus events. And yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that. I mean, it probably would have been a better idea if I did the stream earlier, but I work a full-time job during the day, and I needed time to get dressed in the costume and also get set up for the stream. But I hope you can meet Isabella. Have you met anybody of the Star Crew in the past? Because I know that I think Darren at least has been to a convention in New York, I want to say. But regardless, I hope you can meet someone from the Star Crew one of these days. Isabel said, I'm a night owl. I'm an Amazonian worker. Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm also kind of a bit of a night owl myself because nighttime is really the only time that I could really work on my videos. I'm also really exhausted after work, probably because my sleep schedule sucks. But just hope that you don't stay up too long. Yeah. I mean, I would if I could do the stream earlier, but again, life. But I am glad to be working at the company I am remotely. And I do know that a couple people from there do every now and again watch my videos. So if you're watching, here's your shout out. Isabella said that the sad truth, Bobby, is that I got into Star after it ended. Which I'm a believer in the saying that it's never too late to start. I mean, I started getting into Gravity Falls pretty close to when it was ending. I don't remember if I watched it in if I was watching when season 2 was still coming out, but I remember I got in pretty late. I didn't see the finale until well after it aired, so don't feel too bad. You should be happy that you got into it. And Isabel said, January 6, 2020, oddly enough, I discovered the show after reading a news article following the Princess Georgina episode via Daily Mail article regarding the boy-princess concept. I would say the big difficulty when it comes to coming in later into Star, though, is probably the spoilers. I mean, did you have to, basically dodge and avoid spoilers, or do you not mind? Because, yeah, those are pretty tough to avoid on social media. I mean, heck, I mean, even like calling myself out, my thumbnail is butterfly mode star. So I would say that's the main thing. You got to be careful of like the spoilers on social media. Not even just for Star, but I also mean, I see spoilers for like I like even though I haven't seen like I think of shows like see spoilers all the time. I think of like Infinity Train, for instance, and just I already like know what happens to Simon. It's just like Jesus freaking Christ. I mean, I won't say in case you don't like Infinity Train spoilers, but it's just like holy hell. Oh, that's gonna be one heck of a show to go back to. Heather, how are you doing? Hi. Yeah, happy 6th anniversary to Star. How are you and Vivi doing? I'm really glad that I got to meet you after that I got into Star. I still remember. I think I was technically first introduced to you, Heather, like through social media posts. Like I saw your Star cosplays, and we both went to this Disney like TVA like gallery at the Gallery Nucleus, and we bumped into you when you were cosplaying as Honey Lemon from Big Hero 6, and I was just like, wow, like I couldn't believe I actually got the chance to meet you. I think I met Vivi. It was really quick when we met, but I was really glad that I met you and we've gotten to hang out in future Star events, and I hope to see you again. You want to tell us what your favorite Star episode and character is, Heather? Isabella says, with me, I used my heavy metal approach, starting at the beginning like I did with Black Sabbath's 1970 album, so I was able to binge the show in 4 weeks. Wow, I wish I could go through a show in that much amount of time. Wonder if that's possible with BoJack Horseman, since that's a show that my friend has asked me if I would get into. I don't know. If Gabby's still there, do you think I should take a tequila shot in honor of Star? Like, how intense is it as a liquor? Like, I don't know. I'm just pulling the name of drinks out of a hat. It's like, how is it compared to, say, a vodka, for instance? I never tried vodka, but I know I've heard people say vodka is really heavy stuff. Although I've heard some really good dishes were made using vodka, like pasta alla vodka or Bloody Mary linguine. I've always wanted to try that Gordon Ramsay's Bloody Mary linguine dish with lobster. Oh, I'm making myself hungry. Isabel said it's not as bad as whiskey, Bobby. Hmm. But Gabby is saying it's on the harder side, so yeah, I don't know. Maybe I need to like get myself more experienced. Like I'm not the kind of person who's like against drinking alcohol. It's just that I'm not used to the taste. So maybe like after like a few birthdays and Christmases, maybe. Let's see how things go. I do still remember there was an epic mealtime episode where they had the comedian Gabriel Iglesias as a guest, and every once in a while they would take a tequila break where they would just like have like a sip of tequila in between the food they were trying to make. Have you seen that episode? Yeah, but that was actually my introduction to Gabriel Iglesias. And yeah, I watched his skits every now and again, and he's really good at impersonations. I think he's a really funny guy. Hmm. Isabel said, I'm originally from the UK but moved to the US in 2009, so alcohol is kind of a thing over there. I see. Gabby says, I love Fluffy. I wasn't even aware he was on Epic Mealtime. Yeah, that was my introduction to him. Like, I saw that he made a guest appearance on this episode, and I was, oh, who is this guy? And so I started looking up his stand-up, and yeah, I really enjoy his stand-up. I'm thinking of the one where he imitates, like, Dance Dance Revolution, and he does that dance on the stage. Yeah, good times. Gabby says my favorite is the Splash Mountain joke. Yeah, yeah, I remember that one. Isn't that the one where like Gabriel takes a interesting picture on the ride? Yeah, it's with his buddy. Yeah, I think of a lot of like really great skits with Gabriel Iglesias. Like some of my own favorites are, of course, the classic one where he goes through the drive-through. There's also the one where like his kid eats this like this cake and gets really sick the next day, or the one where he talks about the the person at the front of this hotel and that sort of thing, or the Spanish radio skit. Like I thought all of them were pretty funny. Yeah, he says I always pull out the donut joke. I'm trying to remember that one. I think it involved like a police officer or like something like that. It's been a while since I've seen that particular one, but it rings a bell. Isabel says I want to get involved more with the Star community, but having autism makes it hard sometimes. Well, well, basically, all I could really suggest with that is just to try your best. There's a lot of like really like friendly people in the Star community, really supportive people, like great people to talk to when it comes to the new episodes, just like the interactions that we've had here on this chat tonight. So yeah, they're definitely out there, and I hope you can get a chance to go to an event or even meet crew members like Adam McCarver or Darren FC. I mean, because you've been a great person to talk to, Isabella. Yeah, he says, do you know why I stopped you? Because you can smell them. Trying to remember that. I have to look into, like, I have to check it out again, but the idea behind the skit does ring a bell. So, I'm just saying, I think I'll keep the stream going on for about 5 more minutes, because I'm going to have to head out soon. I'm going to have to really want to grab a bite to eat before because I want to see if I could try to at least get one video at least filmed tonight. It's probably going to be I think I'll start on the Pokemon Snap video. Isabel said, because I've been watching you for ages, but was too shy to comment, but I'm so glad you're very approachable. Well, thank you, Isabella, and I'm glad that you finally spoke up and interacted with the chat. Especially because me personally, I try to be a person who's respectful of opinions, because I'm not a person who likes being told that, oh, if you think this, then you're my enemy, or being told that there's only one and only interpretation of things. So yeah, that's why I really enjoy doing these discussions. Gabby says, yeah, I mean, for Isabella, especially right now, a lot of opportunities are coming up for meeting communities online. So I'd say go out there and find fellow fans. Yeah. And even though Star has been discontinued, the community itself is still very active online. I see a lot of the fans still online. I see a lot of Star art on Instagram. So, don't be afraid to, reach out to artists like, Mooring Mark or Gravity Defying. They're all, really amazing people. Yeah, I've just met so many, great people in this community, and in a way, it's helped me get out of my social shell. In that, it's probably the first time I got really excited to go to, these kind of really public events, especially prior to the pandemic. I mean, it's definitely not something I could have expected myself when I first became a fan of Star. I just started this channel just because I wanted a place to talk about the topics I cared about. So a couple minutes. If there's anybody still watching that wants to give their opinion on Star, you can let me know in the chat. Isabel said, when I'm not watching Star, I look at actual stars in the sky with my astronomy since I watched Carl Sagan's Cosmos as a little girl. Yeah, Carl Sagan seems like a pretty cool guy. I don't know if you're familiar with Audio Machine, but look up Carl Sagan Remix. I thought that person did a really good job. And you said, indeed, the Star Wars community has been pretty welcoming. I like being able to share my takes with a couple of folks. Yeah. Yeah, Heather, you said, sorry, my connection has been funky. Yes, I remember meeting you at the event as Honey Lemon, haha. My favorite episode is the Muberty, and as you can probably imagine, Star is my favorite. And yeah, I've seen you cosplay, Star in many different ways. Muberty Star, Butterfly Mode Star, when Star's wearing the blue dress in the first episode. Oh, then you've done really great. Um, They said Jackie is amazing too, Marco, Tom, the Queens, etc. There are a lot of excellent characters in the show, and I agree. Yeah, so yeah, hopefully, when this pandemic is over, we could meet again. I was saying earlier, I'm really itching to get back to conventions, and if anything, just to well, one, because I really want to. Excuse me. You get more use out of the new camera that I picked up, and it seems like a really good fit for vlogging. Just the only problem is it doesn't have a screen that you could flip out and video yourself. But I know there's ways around it. But yeah, I'd really like to see you and Vivi again, Heather. Kyle says that I hope that Disney makes Star Pilot and other pilots accessible to the public. I remember recently the Avatar YouTube channel showed the pilot for that show, so who knows, maybe in a few years Disney TVA will maybe put it on their channel or something. I think that would be nice because even I haven't seen, not even the Star and the Forces of Evil pilot. I've only seen snippets of it. I remember seeing a gif of it on Twitter, but that's about it. Isabel said, I wish I wasn't so far away. Connecticut is a world away from California. Yeah, so, but yeah, hopefully, Darren FC or the team will make it out to, a convention in Connecticut one of these days. Nice thing about conventions is you often get to meet voice actors of shows from the past. I remember going to Long Beach conventions and there would be Ricky Simons from Invader Zim or Greg Baldwin from Avatar. He was the guy who Baldwin was the guy who took over for Iroh after Mako passed away. So hopefully you can. And like me and Gabby were saying, the Star online community has also been, really welcoming and surprisingly, really welcoming and supportive. Yeah. And I've gotten to meet so many really helpful people through interacting with this community, and I think it's brought out my more artsy kind of style. And Heather said, thank you. It always means a lot to hear that you enjoy the cosplay so much. And yes, I miss cons and seeing everyone. Isabella said, it's good to have a sense of belonging even at my age. And you said, age is 28. Yeah. It's kind of surprising. It also took me a while to find my sense of belonging. I would say I didn't really find my sense of belonging until maybe I was a teenager, or maybe even more if I hung out with Gabby and friends more so in high school. We met back in high school, but we weren't really close friends until we worked together on a literature assignment. I'm not sure, Gabby, if you remember, but I think it was a project on, was it Hamlet and Othello? It was a Shakespeare project, but I don't remember which plays in particular. So yeah, it's kind of I was watching a Business Insider video literally on the making of Nissin cup noodles, and they talked about the entrepreneur behind it, Momofuku Ando, And Ando once said, "It's basically it's never too late to have a new beginning." So yeah, so I think it's a really great opportunity. Also, kind of reminds me of what one of my high school economics teacher said. And that I think that was why he showed us The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith, because you had this person who was already a father, no longer a kid, but we're seeing that he's got a new beginning and chasing this really lucrative career. So, and yeah, that's actually an example of a movie where I now can really sympathize, especially with that scene when the character that Will Smith plays, Chris Gardner, like when he has that moment of like, I made it, I got this job. It's like I'm still chasing that moment myself. So it's like now I know, now I could only imagine what the real Chris Gardner was feeling when he finally felt secure about his career. That must be like the best feeling in the world. You know. And I really like when movies can like transcend that sort of like field between that sort of realm of like a bio, like I don't know if you'd call it a biopic, but based on true story movie crossed with the story of a real life person. Yeah. Mm. Also, being an Amazon worker has taught me to be resilient. I also wear my star shirts at Amazon. I wear star shirts from T Public. Ooh, that's really cool. In terms of like the star merch I've got, most of it comes from like Hot Topic. I do have like I've got a couple things from fans over the years. Unfortunately they're kind of stored a ways away, but you can check them out in some of my older videos. Um I mean, there's still like an accessible way, but unfortunately, like my camera and other equipment is in the way, so I can't reach them right now. Is it the last? Hey Bobby, what's your take on James Bond? I need to see more James Bond movies, to be honest. It's one of those franchises that I know I need to see more of the films of. The only Bond movie I've gotten to see was Skyfall, which, by the way, the cinematographer of Skyfall recently has just been knighted, so now he's known as Sir Roger Deakins, and really glad. I really like Roger Deakins' work in movies like Skyfall, Blade Runner 2049, and probably one of his best works, 1917. The World War One movie that was seemingly shot in one take. It's really convincing how the camera work is done, and I really liked how they were able to switch between all sorts of shots and make it look really seamless. But yeah, in terms of James Bond, I've only seen Skyfall. I know there's a bunch of other Bond movies, like so many out there that I haven't gotten to see yet. I have talked about like No Time to Die like every once in a while on my channel, mostly for the release date changes. But Isabella, have you seen a lot of Bond movies? I will say, I loose kind of, it's not James Bond, but I will say that I have seen Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which star, well, not stars, but Sean Connery plays Indy's father, which rest in peace. Isabel says World War One really is nowhere near as talked about as World War Two, since there really is no hero narrative about World War One. Yeah, I see what you mean. But still, 1917 is still a really amazing movie. If anything, it has a really engaging story. The acting is really good. I won't give away the ending, but I remember bawling like a baby, just like I did with Soul. So, but yeah, it's just a really well crafted movie. I've been a Bond fan since 1999. Cool. Um, but yeah, unfortunately, it's not really a movie franchise that I got to see much as a kid. I would say the movie franchise that kind of served in Bond's place when I was a kid would probably be the Indiana Jones movies because I got to watch all four films um, as a teen. Like after I saw Kingdom of the Crystal Skull when it first came out, and then my parents were like, "Okay, let's show him the other movies." So they showed me Raiders, Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade. Bill said I was a history major in college and did my master's on British diplomacy on in World War One. Ooh, sounds fascinating. So yeah, I don't mean to cut you short, Isabel, but a couple minutes, and then I'm gonna have to sign off on the stream because I think my family is gonna need me in a couple minutes. Kyle says I see all the Indiana movies and almost all the Bond movies except Skyfall and Scepter. It's funny is that my friend I didn't really like Scepter too much, so what he basically did is he just like just breezed through like some of the more like ridiculous scenes. I've heard that people consider it's kind of one of the lesser James Bond movies. Yeah, so I think at 8:30, I'm just to be safe, I'm gonna be ending the stream. Actually, I'll ask one more question. Isabella says, "For my money, Bobby watched The Spy Who Loved Me. Does it matter like which Bond movie I start with, or is it the thing where I could jump in at like any point I want, or that something, or that sort of thing? Like, would it be to my benefit if I started with Doctor No? For instance, or could I just jump into The Spy Who Loved Me as somebody who's only seen Skyfall? Which I guess the good news with the fact that Bond movies continue to get made, it does make it more accessible to newer audiences. Where it's like, okay, you saw like let's say the newest one that's coming out. It's like okay, you see No Time to Die, and now that you're introduced to Bond, you could jump into the other movies. So yeah, so yeah, Isabel says jump in at any point. There really isn't too strong with an overarching arcing story. Every movie has a self-contained story. Okay, so that's good. I mean, I was able to get through Skyfall okay, but I was just thinking, maybe um, I would miss something if I, started with something more recent. So I'll keep that in mind. Just in general, I really need to like get in the habit of like just getting out of my like roadblock when it comes to movies and just jumping in because I feel like it's effortless to most people. And I'm the one who's more concerned, what if I don't get something and that kind of thing. But, of course, something that I haven't really done since I was a little kid was, watching something repeatedly. Moonraker is my favorite Bond movie. Is that the one? That's the one that's set in space, right? I've seen, like, on bits and pieces of Moonraker. Okay. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna have to end things off here. So once again, thank you for everybody that has tuned into the stream. If anybody is watching this stream from the future, if you would like to leave your thoughts on Star vs. the Forces of Evil, your favorite characters or episodes, or story arcs, you could leave them down below in the comments and I'll get back to you. Once again, I'm really glad that the Star community played a big role in helping shape my channel. I'm glad that Darren Nefsey got to create the great series that it is. Like I said, and I still think that it's worth at least one watch to see the one or two really surprising moments. Just beware of spoilers, especially now that the series is over. So yeah, so once again, thank you for tuning in to the stream, everybody. And if you want to continue following me, my social media links are down below: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Discord, and I think Tumblr. So yeah, so thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting me and my friends who have worked hard to work on this channel. Yes, so thank you, Yuzu and Kaio. It's been really good chatting with you, and I hope, Isabella, that you get the chance to continue to communicate with Star fans, because I really enjoyed talking with you, and I liked how you were able to get into other topics, because I think there will also be people out there who would want to hear more about things like the James Bond movies and heavy metal music. So yeah, so thank you once again, and until next time, this has been Blood Moon Bobby, and thank you all for watching.